Silas Fox here, continuing the Enochian adventure. I have bathed, I have shaved, the temple has been banished, the brazier is lit, the incense is burning. Let's begin. We'll be continuing an air of air. Today we'll be calling forth TOTT, T-O-T-T. Teach me, O Creator of all things, to have correct knowledge and understanding, for your wisdom is all that I desire. Speak your word in my ear, O Creator of all things, and set your wisdom in my heart. Amen. Behold the ring. Lo, this it is. This is it, wherewith all miracles and divine works and wonders were wrought by Solomon. This is it which philosophy dreameth of. This is it which the angels scarce know. This is it, and blessed by his name. Yea, his name be blessed forever. Without this I shall do nothing. Blessed be his name that encompasses all things. Wonders are in him. His name is wonderful. Pele. His name works wonders from generation to generation. Amen. Behold the layman. As the holy table conciliates heaven and earth, let this layman which I place over my heart conciliate me to the holy table. Amen. Pa med fam med drux fam fam ur ged graf drux med graf graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged or maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf sef med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan men un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan or gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa med fam pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur pa med fam med drux fam ur ged graf drux med graf med or med gal ged drux pa drux un tal fam dan ur graf dan ur gisigan med un ged med graf van ur dan un pa drux ur dan ur drux un med graf med graf sef ged ur maus fam un pa gan med un graf fam maus tal ur pa drux un van un med un gan drux ur Medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf medgan medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf medgan gesig dan ur van ur dan ur med graf med dan ur medgan ur dan med gesig van ur graf Gales, Gethog, Thauth, Horwiln, Ilnon, Eoth, Galethog, Zafkiel, Zedekiel, Kumael, Raphael, Haniel, Mikael, Gabriel, El, Me, Ese, Iana, Akele, Asdoban, Stimkul, Iller, Demal, Heoa, Biegia, Stimkul, Es, Ab, Ath, Izad, Ekeye, Madimi, Esemele, An, Ave, Liba, Rokle, Hagonel, Ilemes, Sabathiel, Zadkiel, Madimiel, Semeliel, Nogahel, Korabiel, Lavanel. Iad, Mos, Zir, Iad, Bab, Zna, Iad, Sor, Guru, Iad, Ser, Osv. Mikma, Goho Piad Zirkomselt Alzen Biab Os Londo, Nors Chis Orthil, Gigipa Undel Chis Ta Puim, Ke Masplet Telok Ke I in Toltor Chis I Chis Ge, Im Ozen Dist Brigda Od Torzul I Li Ol Val Barzarg Od Alathiln Os Ne Taab, De Lugavam Sag Lonsa Kap Mi Ali Vors Kla Homil Kokaseb. Fafen izizop, od minoag, deg nita buan na eiel. Pan pir mal pregi kasog, pild noan una labalt ad vuan. Do oyap mad go holor go hus amiran, mikma e husos kakakom o do o a in noar mika ols a aiom. Kasarm gohia, zakar uniglag un im uamar pulo plapli ananiel kwan. Ol vinu od zakam, ilsga, tot, od lash vors gi iad gohus pugol ils niso od darbs. Dujap, exarp. Od dujap, oro iba eospi. Od dujap. Oh dear. Oh, that's right. Aduyap. Bataiva. Aduyap. Aborio. Auzaif. Hitmorda. Ahaiospi. Hiptoga. Od Ototar. Aduyap. Idoigo. Aduyap. Ardza. Olvinu Odzakam. Ilsga. Tot. am immediately met by 4 interlocking triangles. Sorry, squares, not triangles. The predominant colors are yellow and purple. It's predominantly yellow with a border of purple. This is different than the last time I called upon this entity. There's just a feeling of coolness, like peppermint, leftover peppermint on your tongue. I ask what this entity is good for. Healing through identifying the cause, the roots. There's a clear image of a plant with roots. And one of the roots is infected and the plant wilts. And this entity assists in correcting that. I ask the correct pronunciation of the name. TOTT. I ask for general information or advice for any who would see this. While the waters may appear calm, what roils beneath the surface is the root. Dive, delve, seek ye the turmoil and pull it to the surface. Address it, appreciate it, thank it for what it has given you, and then you may let it go. I'm asking about root problems in my own consciousness, and I am shown many. I may be silent for a few moments while I work with this entity to address these problems. While I wish not to divulge the details specifically, this one, it is the deepest root. It goes back into childhood, early childhood. And the image I have of it is like it is strangling the central core of my energetic tube, I guess is the easiest way to describe what I see. Many people are familiar with the chakra system and the flow of Kundalini, and this would be at the root chakra, constricting the flow. So let us untie it. this one problem has multiple roots, and each one is tapped into a different center on that spiritual tube, and I'm going to remove all of them. Appears to be taken care of. I'm going to verbally thank the issue and let it go. Thank you for being part of my life and all the experiences that have led me to this point, with which you were the backbone. I thank you for your service. You are no longer required. I love you, and I set you free. I have another question from my brother, who sent me a communication before starting this. He's currently in prison, and whatever sent him to prison, which he doesn't want to be made public. He wants to know if it is something inherently wrong in him, or if it is merely nature expressing itself. Again, I beg a moment of silence. This has to do with immaturity. The fruit has not yet ripened on the vine. It is still green, and he is attempting to eat. He must pull more nourishment from his own spirit and develop the fruit of his personality into a whole being, into that which it is meant to be. The parable of the 4 blind men and the elephant has been brought to my attention. It's as if he has found one aspect of his personality or consciousness and seized upon it as the only truth, where there are several more parts that need to be incorporated into the whole before he can really understand and evolve. And in an offhand comment, this makes sense. Seeing how he lives his life and how his personality is, this makes total sense. I ask if there is anything that anyone watching who cares to can do to tap into the assistance of this entity without necessarily going through the entire process that I have gone through to get here. And an exercise is being presented. Sit still, breathe deeply. If you're familiar with meditation, you're going to enter into a light meditative state. Ask to be brought to attention any and all problems that exist in your life, in your subconsciousness. Whatever words work for you to convey the same type of meaning. Images will float before your mind's eye, and as they do, address them. What do they represent? What emotion does it call up? What memories spring forth at the sight of this object or image or face? If there is emotional upheaval or trauma attached to the image, address it directly. Thank you for your service. I love you. I set you free. There should be no fear or apprehension involved in this. You are merely offering forgiveness and love and searing the dark roots of whichever problems are causing you troubles with light and love. By addressing them and setting them free, you give them permission to leave. And keep at this until no more images float in front of your mind's eye. And you may do this as often as you like. I don't have a landscape really associated with this entity. It's more of like a breathing, evolving glyph that is made up of squares. Almost like if you are familiar with the animation that tries to portray like a fourth dimensional cube where there's a central cube and it is popping out and going back into itself and doing this kind of method, but in the three-dimensional, multi-layered, much more complicated version of that. And again, yellow and purple. Yellow and purple. Yellow like the sun, purple like a very intense violet. I ask for advice for any who wish to participate in this exact ceremony. What obstacles can this entity assist in overcoming, or advice pertaining to that? Each individual has a set construct for the reality that they use to perceive and exist in it. And each one is different. It is built of little tiny building blocks. Some of these blocks are more ingrained than others and can literally be a blockage that will prevent one from from experiencing these visions or being able to interact with these entities. So one can build a second set of beliefs that allows this to happen while simultaneously retaining the original, or their own, or the everyday. So you, for the purposes of this ritual, construct a personality or a mode of thinking or belief that allows this to be possible, regardless of what you have allowed in the past. For this moment, for the time in which you are doing this, this is real. Easier said than done for some. In essence, you are creating like a mask of sorts. that you don for the purpose of performing a ritual. And while you are in this, you are in that headspace. You don the mask. This is true. This is what I believe, and this is going to work. When you finish the ritual, you remove this, and you may resume whichever mask makes you happy. You can do this through any aspect of your life. If you want to be a musician, you build a belief structure and system in which you are a musician. You understand it and you are able to do it. And when you want to play, you don the mask of the musician. And you can remove it and put on the mask of the literary composer. You can remove it. You can put on the mask of etc., etc. Understanding this will help many people find the way to actually embody what they want. And these don't have to be separate. These can be woven together, although this is a very complicated mental picture, and those words don't really do it justice. It's like taking several different personality constructs and then braiding them together to form a central construct that is made up of individuals but is individual itself. I'm asking if there are any other root issues that can be identified before I release the entity. And save the large one that I had to work through. I'm told that it would help for me to practice the same exercise that was given forth, where I focus in a meditative state and ask for root problems to display themselves to me. The one that I have just worked through may come up again, and it is my job to be vigilant and to address it for as long as it takes until it finally is clear. I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is being shown to me, so I'm going to say it. This entity likens issues to like the flooded basement of a high-rise or skyscraper. From all exterior appearances, it appears to be solid and permanent. However, the flooded basement is cracking the foundations, and dirt and silt are pouring through and causing instability. And even though it appears as if everything is fine and dandy, on the inside things are starting to corrupt and break down, and this base cannot support the weight above, and unaddressed, uncorrected, will cause the collapse of the structure. So clean your basement. Find what is rotting underneath and correct it. Don't let your structure fall. As with most of these entities, I don't get a lot of emotion attached with the entity. They're very straightforward and just relay information as it is asked of them. I have never asked a question that went unanswered. If you approach in the right mindset, it seems that any knowledge can be obtained through this. It's just, what is the focus of your consciousness at the moment? What do you really want to know? And it can be known. I'm going to thank and dismiss the entity. Thy name be mighty, O God, which canst open the veil whereby thy all-powerful will may be opened unto men. Power, glory, and honor be unto thee, for thou art the same God of all things, and art life eternal. Amen. Forgive me, I'm in a completely altered state of consciousness. Shall do this again next week. Next Friday, the third call on the Air of Air, and we're going to work through the entire Air tablet. We'll see where we end up. Now, if you're watching these and you're keeping up on it, and you get in before the next one is published, and if you have questions regarding healing or pertaining to any sort of healing, I will do my best to remember them when I go into the altered state, although I can't make any guarantees because I've gone in before with a litany of questions and only remembered a few of them. It's so much more helpful to have people in the room that are asking questions. I can give them a list and they're asking questions and I can answer them, and anything spontaneous can come up. But I'm not afforded that luxury at the time. I'm not involved with a group that participates in this type of ceremony, so it's just me. So again, I shall do my best. If you have questions, post them in the comments. And we'll see where this crazy road takes us. Until next week.